us Ahsoka the White. Should be a lot of fun. I think it's the first time I've got to draw her in this costume, so I really appreciate the request, because these requests help keep me on my toes. And if you're hanging out with us today, feel free to hop on the chat. Let us know how you're doing. Planning on Ahsoka and probably a Princess Leia and maybe even a Carmen Sandiego today. So let's just get started. I've got my Ahsoka worked out in my blue line sketch. So I'm going to take my black pencil and I think just start on the periphery today and just work all the way around the contour. Just try to get her started. And if you hear any weird noises in the background, our studio cat, Indio, she is hyper today. And she's ready to play. So if she gets over this way, I'll pick her up and let you guys see her. Right now she's laying on her back over here attacking some toys, as cats are wont to do. Alright, so Ahsoka's got her staff here. And we could get a circle template out and make this circle perfect, but I think if we just take our time a little bit, we can get a pretty nice looking circle there. There we go. Well, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Hey Evan, good to see you. I hope everyone is staying safe, staying home, and being productive. Whether it's just hanging out with me or creating art or doing something else. Right, anything's better than just doing nothing. So we're going to do a Ahsoka the White today, Evan. And just start with kind of roughing in the outline of the character here before I worry about any details or anything. I decided to start out with this one today, not because it's easy, because I don't know that it is, but because her costume is so light colored, there'll be a lot less shading. So I thought this one might move along and act almost like it's a little more challenging than a normal warm-up sketch, but I think since there's less shading, it should be about the same amount of time. So that's the thought process anyway. You know how these things go. Sometimes they fight, sometimes they play nice. Just don't know until you do it. So, just trying to think about the areas that I'm going to want to be kind of dark and really clearly visible, so I can hit all those areas first with some good shadows. If you're on the chat, let me know what you did this weekend. Did you stay home and work on projects? Did you get out in your neighborhood and go for a walk? Or you just whatever it is you're doing? Because I definitely live vicariously through you guys. Even before the crisis, I didn't leave the house that much, but now I can't even think of the last time. Who's my favorite Star Wars character? I always say Boba Fett. I mean, it's kind of weird because he's not like a super detailed written character, but I think just the look of the character has always appealed to me. And I know writers always get really upset when I say that. They're like, but he doesn't have a lot of lines, he doesn't have a lot of story, but I was the right age when that character came out, that it just made a big impression on me. It's totally cool. So I've always been a big Boba Fett fan. I mean, I think it was one of the first sort of like villain characters that I really, really got into, you know. And even now, the fact that he's a bounty hunter, right? He's not technically part of the Empire, so I think there's some gray area there that makes him attractive in a way, as far as like if you're a young boy and you're watching the film and you go, oh, that guy's badass. What's his deal? How about you? What character does it for you? I mean, when I was like super young, it was just Luke Skywalker all day long because he was, you know, the hero and he was the way into the story. And I really didn't appreciate Han Solo as much until I got a little older. And I think when you get a little older and you see the shades of gray in everyday life, you can appreciate a character like that a lot more than when you're younger and everything's sort of black and white. I mean, at least for me, I know not everybody has the same shared experience. All right, I think I'm going to want some shadow kind of underneath this cloak to come down into her face a little bit. So maybe something like that. I'm just gonna have like the left side of her be in a lot of shadow. I think that's going to work out really well. I saw that my buddy Joe Crony did his first Twitch stream last night. I think it was like 1 in the morning or 1:30 in the morning or something like that. But I missed it live, but I got to see some of the replay this morning. It was really good. He's so talented. So be sure and check out his channel now that he's on and live. I don't know what his schedule is going to be yet, but knowing Joe, it'd probably be a lot of late evenings. When you were younger, it was Darth Vader, but now you would say Hera. Yeah, I can see that. Vader's just such a cool design. I mean, there just wasn't a character that looked like that really beforehand. I mean, he's so iconic now. You know, and before we knew everything about Star Wars, I remember as a kid, I didn't know if the stormtroopers were people in suits or if they were robots or what they were at first. I don't know why. I mean, they show Han and Luke disguise themselves as stormtroopers in the first film, but I was probably too little to understand. And I kind of think the same thing with Vader. I mean, that first film, I didn't really know if he was a human or a robot or what he was. So I kind of like the storytelling back then. They didn't answer all the questions. You know, you didn't have explainer videos or anything like that. You had the story and you had to like live with it and sit with it and think about it and question it. And if something didn't make sense, then you had to wait for the next one. We don't really have that anymore. All right, so I'm going to do some shading, but I think I want to just start roughing in some of the darker areas here. And I may not lay down a black ink line on this since she's wearing this lighter color costume. I may just go with the black pencil and then like a just some tonal marker, and then we'll see if we want to add some black ink afterwards. That might be fun if we need to touch it up or something. So we could do like 10, 30, 50. That might look cool. Do like 40, 20. Let's try this. You know, you tried the Force as a kid. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all thought if you just waited long enough or thought about it hard enough, you could make the Force happen, just like in the films. Oh, good. I'm glad you got to see Joe's art. Yeah, he's so good. He's so good with likenesses and realism and kind of all the things that I'm not good at. So we're like two sides of a coin. I'm more about it's kind of like the iconic design stuff. And he just is so good at the realism stuff. What I like about Twitch is this, my USB mic works with this software really well, so hopefully the sound quality is good here, especially after yesterday trying to fight with all the Google software. Apparently that stuff does not like my little podcast mic. So since she's wearing this really light costume, what I'm thinking is just have the darkest areas be this 50% value instead of black. We'll see how that works. When we get up to the face, I may go a little darker, but for the cloak at least, this 50% will be the darkest for her clothing. And then we might go a little darker on the skin. We'll see how that works out. And I've been working on that complicated sketch. I pretty much have Luke and Yoda done on that one. So I'm working on the background right now for it. And I'll be sure to show it before I mail it off. They need it this week, so I've got to finish that up pretty soon. Been trying to, unlike these where I just sit down and do them, I've been working on this one a little bit at a time because it's like the character itself isn't that complicated. Oh, thanks for letting me know the sound is good. But it just has a lot more going on overall, and I have to hide a bunch of names in this tree and swamp, and so I'm just kind of doing it in installments between other things, which is, I guess, probably how I was doing things before I started live streaming. But I like this. I think this is good. It makes me just sit and do them at one time without second guessing myself or thinking about it. Which definitely has its own rewards, its own appeal. Oh, you've been doing value studies with grays. Good. That's good. That's it's like so much of coloring is just about seeing the light and shadow and not the colors itself. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the colors are super important, but it's like you can't have one without the other. So hopefully that's working out for you. And like I've said before, you know, flip on Turner Classic Movies or something and find some black and white movies to watch. Especially the film noir era stuff. The lighting was so good. Some of the lighting choices that they made, just incredible. So we may still give that like a black outline, but for now, at least we'll, I think, just do her robes in a couple of shades. And maybe instead of outlining all of this, maybe we just do like the perimeter of the character with like a black line. That might look kind of cool. A little more artsy or something. I was hoping that Decidius would get on the chat because I'm pretty sure this is his sketch. It'd be ironic the one day that he misses is when I got to his. I mean, I put the videos up afterwards anyway, but... I've got like one or two like complicated sketches to finish up, and then I'll be not caught up, but caught up to the list I had going before Friday. So that'll be good. And there's a couple of challenging ones on there, mostly just because some of the references are hard to find, but there's some really fun ones coming up too. Been real interesting. Some of the characters people want drawn push me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I like it. Keeps me on my toes. And that's what I need. I mean, anytime you grow like comfortable or complacent, it's just so easy to fall into a rut. Oh, and I finished up my Star Wars Celebration art. So those are off to Lucasfilm, and obviously we don't know what's going to happen, but at least I've got those couple pieces done, and I don't have to stress about getting them done anymore because of that crazy deadline. You know, normally I'm really ahead of deadlines on that kind of stuff, and I think that the crisis we're going through and the stress of that is, and it's not just me. I was talking to some other artists. They're having a really hard time not getting motivated per se, but just getting focused on creating artwork for an event that may or may not happen, and trying to dig deep and get creative with it. And it's a challenge, you know. I mean, trying to get psyched up for something that you don't know what's going to happen, and you're focused on paying your rent and all that sort of thing. So it's definitely been challenging times. So Evan, if you're doing the value studies with grays, one of the things I would challenge you to do is just set up a palette with like 20%, 40%, 60%, maybe 80%, but doubtful that you would need it. And try to, there's really good contrast between those values. So, you could take those values and just try to not render, but create some really simple value guides. And that'll really force you to deal in strong contrast. And then, if you have fun with those, you can go and do some more with other shades of gray and get more detailed. But if you force yourself to see in just those small range of values, it really will make you more aware of the type of contrast that is needed for print comics. I definitely think that knowledge is being lost right now. I mean, so many of the good people at the print houses have aged out and retired, and after this crisis they may find themselves without a jobs or not coming back or something, and it's getting harder and harder to find people who are like lifelong print people who really know about this stuff. So now's the time to learn, because it's easy to make things look good on screen, but getting them to print, that's a whole another story. It definitely separates, those that are working consistently from maybe some of those who aren't. So again, trying something a little different here, but I think we can start to see what's happening with the face and how these values are going to work out a little bit for us. So I think when it's all done, we'll just have to see if the face shadows should be a little bit darker than the shadows on everything else or not. But for now, we can at least block it all in. I've said it before, but I really like to continue to work on my drawing style while I'm doing these sketches, and especially jumping back and forth between the cartoon characters and the like movie characters. I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect in the way I draw them. So hopefully as we progress here, I can start to bring those two things together a little bit and be a little more cohesive with the style. My friend Jason Gonzalez has been posting up some of his sketches, and he has such a cool, unique style. And it's just interesting to see his take on all these different characters, and it's very inspiring. It makes me want to try harder for sure, especially now that I'm drawing a gazillion times more than before all this. So, nothing like doing something every day to make you want to grow and try harder. Well, you can already see her face starting to emerge from the shadows there. That's always the goal, for me at least. It's just some big dramatic light and dark areas. So what do we think? Will Decidius get on here like at the very last 30 seconds of this sketch? So there's some dark values. I think I need to add some to the staff here as well. Maybe just a little bit down here where the thumb would be. Yeah, that's starting to come together. So for the staff, maybe just a little bit along the edge, just to give it a little bit of shape. I'm trying not to go too perfect with these lines. I want them to be a little, not squiggly, but I don't want the staff to look too artificial. It needs to look like it's made out of a natural material. So something like that. touch up this eye a little bit. All right. I think that's looking pretty good. So this was, what do we say, 50%? Yes. So let's step down 2 tones to 30. And we'll grab our black pencil again. And we'll start thinking about some of these areas we're going to want the next value to go. I think what I might do is use the 30 for her skin and then just let the little tattoos stay white. That might look pretty cool. Oh, you lost your internet. Uh-oh. That's no fun. I'll tell you, with everybody being home, it's definitely been a challenge. You know, I'm used to working from home all the time, and the best part would be I knew exactly what time of days the internet would be fast or slow, and now I don't have a clue. I think it's just slow all the time. That's for sure. I'm glad you're back. Kind of wish we had a few more people joining us today, but I just never know. I never know what a good time to stream is. Seems like people are home all the time right now, so. I know some people watch them after the fact. So I'm just thinking like we'll leave parts of it white and then go in with just our next darker shade and add in a little bit of shading. And then maybe at the very end, you know, like I said, we might go back and do some outlining or maybe a really super pale gray around the outer edge or something. We'll come up with something that looks cool. Sometimes you just don't know what that is until you get there. So let's... I'll let people know I'm going to be on earlier. Yeah, that's definitely a goal. Sometimes I don't know until 10 minutes or so before if I'm going to make it or not. But yes, my goal is to have it be more predictable. Oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time yesterday, even with the technical difficulties. I mean, we knew that, we're the first class of the new thing that they're doing, and we had never used that version of those Google tools before. They're special for the educators, and we knew there would be some hiccups, but hopefully we'll get it all ironed out. But good, I'm glad you had fun. Christy and I really enjoy, sharing our knowledge and experience with people, and it's definitely fun for us. And Christy's such a good speaker, which makes it a little easier for me because I can concentrate on the creative parts. And I don't have to panic about how it's all going to work. And we went through everybody's responses yesterday as far as like what they want to learn and everything, and some really, really good, well thought out responses. I was really impressed. it's definitely in line with what we were hoping to see. So that too should make it more fun. Well, thank you for saying so. Well, you can imagine what a 3-day boot camp was like. And we're just trying to take that information and try to funnel most of it. I mean, obviously we can't do all of it, but most of it into six 90-minute sessions. So we were talking to, there was like a Kubert School chat yesterday morning, and we were chatting with the other new instructors. And one of them was really panicked. She's like, how am I possibly going to teach people how to draw anything in 6 classes? And I was like, just calm down. It'll happen. Yeah, Chrissy's mother, she flats for us occasionally. When SpongeBob Comics was still publishing, she worked on every issue. But now she'll help out occasionally on easy cartoony stuff, you know. But her mom's a retired school teacher, so, and they live kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so she has the time to do it and wants to do it. All right, so we're gonna go with our 30%. You know, back when, I don't want to say when comics were bigger, because that's a misstatement, but when the publishers were publishing more titles, you know, we had people flatting around the clock, it seemed like. So but both Marvel and DC publish, I don't know, less than half the titles that they used to. So even when it's busy, it's still a lot slower than it used to be. I can still remember when we had our physical studio, there'd be anywhere from 8 to 14 of us there, and we'd be pulling all-nighters to get issues of X-Men out the door and stuff, or Wolverine or Avengers or whatever. And, you know, we would color 10 books a month for Marvel sometimes. And if they were in a real hurry, we'd color an entire issue every 2 days or 24 hours or whatever they needed. So it's just a different time. Oh, I did get the picture of the gradient markers. I didn't go look them up on Amazon yet or anything, but I did get them. I'm sure there's probably like a cool YouTube video I can go find of how they work. Yeah, I have to check that out for sure. Maybe next time I order some art supplies, I'll throw those in we could do like a whole video on how they work. That would be fun. I know I have a request from somebody to do a digital sketch instead of a physical sketch. So if that happens, then I'll hook the iPad up and we'll stream one of those. That should be fun. Oh, you got yours at Hobby Lobby. Okay, that's good to know. Right now I'm trying to be good and just order things from Amazon. I keep getting emails from Michaels. They're like, you can get it to to go. Order it online and just pick it up curbside. And then every time I go to look at art supplies, they're like, oh, we don't carry that in our store. Oh, we don't carry that in our store. I'm like, well, you used to. How am I supposed to order and support my local store if you don't have anything? Oh, you'd be interested in seeing a digital one? Yeah, I've posted some videos in the past of some of my iPad coloring. I used to do a lot more iPad coloring than I do now, but I do most of my illustrations on iPad. Well, I say most. I do all of my illustrations on iPad. So I'm none too pleased with Adobe and their decision to kill Draw and try to roll everything into whatever the new app's called. It's okay. I mean, I don't hate it, but there's just so many things about it that don't work as good as Draw. You can tell like Draw was developed by people who were like, this is the iPad, it's a whole new paradigm and we can leverage everything that it can do and make it like visually simple and easy and creative. And then when it comes to the new stuff they're doing, it's like, it feels like, at least, they're like, hey, let's take all the people who've worked on all of our desktop products and try to make things for the iPad that work like the desktop. And it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you know, if you have the ability to pinch and zoom and to tap and do everything with your finger, why get rid of that? Why make why make something that was one step in Draw into 5 steps in the new app? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I've talked to some people there, and it seems like internally they know. I mean, half of them are like, we're just doing what we're told, which is true of any company, I guess. But yeah, you know, and I mean, I love Procreate for painting, and I'm glad they tried to make a version of Photoshop for the iPad, but I don't know anybody who's using it. And, you know, that's not a negative against Adobe. That's just, we don't live in the time of, like, if you build it, people have to use it, right? They don't have to use it. They have plenty of options out there and plenty of companies who were out creating iPad stuff when Adobe wasn't. And so it doesn't matter how big Adobe is, you know, they're the ones that have to play catch up now. There's a whole generation of creators who've never used an Adobe product and don't care. And if Adobe thinks they can just sit back and, you know, be like, well, we're the dominant player in this field and we always have been, and you'll use what we give you, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. Because, you know, the reason Photoshop and Illustrator are popular because everybody's been using them for 20 plus years, and all it takes is like a 5-year cycle to break that chain. And there's plenty of people who are breaking that chain. And to be quite honest, if I didn't need Photoshop for my pro publishing work, I probably would have stopped using it years ago, because they're just not keeping up with what creative people want. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like any company, you know, when you get big and successful, it's really easy to kind of take your eye off the ball. And I have faith in them. I mean, there's a ton of smart and creative people there that really want to make cool products and really want to do good things. So, you know, I thought the thing they announced today was really smart. Basically cutting the price in half for a couple of their iPad products. It's exactly what they needed to do. Because, you know, you can buy Procreate one time, and I forget what it costs, but it's not much. And if you have the full Creative Cloud suite, then sure, you get their iPad apps for free. But that's, that's a lot of professionals. That's not a lot of students. And so expecting the students to pay, $10 per month for each iPad app, that's $120 a year, when you could just buy Procreate for whatever it is, $10 or something. So it's pretty crazy. Yes, John Roush is doing great work with Clip Studio, and I'm glad you're on here, Decidius. We wondered if you were going to join the chat and see this before it was done or not. So going really light values, and then when it's done, might go in and do like a darker outline around the figure or something, but I want to keep this one like really light feeling. Yeah, John Roush is doing some good stuff. He's always been good. I think right now for those of us that are pros, anything we do on the iPad, it has to kind of go back through Photoshop for CMYK color. And Procreate's got their version of CMYK now. And it's early days, but they've thrown down the gauntlet, so the writing's on the wall. Adobe has to step it up for sure. Thank you, Decidius. I'm glad you were able to join us. I thought, well, it's going to be really ironic that the one day you're not here is the day I'm working on this. So yeah, I think we'll work these midtones in, and then we'll see about, I might just do like a outline, a few little things here and there. But because she's got the white robe, I don't want to get too heavy-handed, Homeschooling the kid. And what were the homeschool lessons today? Because right now it can be Ahsoka 101. I don't know if you've seen some of the comic resources for teaching your kids at home, but I know DC's done something, and Peanuts, Snoopy, Charlie Brown, they released a bunch of things for parents to use at home. And Comic Book Legal Defense Fund has released or is getting ready to release. So it's nice to see some of these comics and comics related companies stepping up to the plate and putting out some, whether it's just worksheets or PDFs or whatever they're doing, just pitching it in. That's how it should be. All right. So yeah, let's try to get these tendrils looking pretty good. Maybe just do like one shadow line all the way down like that. That'll be cool. So, Decidius, before you joined us, I was ranting about Adobe, but we were just talking a lot about art and technique and stuff, and so I was saying that I'm talking to someone about they might want me to do a digital sketch commission for them, so If so, I'll plug in the iPad that day and we can watch one that way. But they haven't committed yet, so we'll see. All right. So I think, so this was the 30%. I'm thinking I'm going to take the 20. Oops, not the 40. I'll take the 20. So there's the 20. And maybe just do like a little outliney thing over here. Since we're going to have white on white, just do like a little tonal outline where those meet. Yeah, something like that. And maybe do the same thing over here. Making another season of Rebels. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows right now. Well, I mean, Dave Filoni probably knows. But thank you to Sidious. No, I don't know. I mean, we've heard so many rumors about everything. But with the current crisis, it just seems like so many things are on hold right now. You guys chat amongst yourselves. I'm going to be really quiet while I try to make this semi-circle here. Keep this as clean as possible. Yeah, I'd be down for another season. I mean, right now I'm really psyched for Mandalorian to come back. I think that'd be really cool. I'm pretty stoked about seeing whatever they're going to do with this Obi-Wan show, whenever that happens. And those are definitely top of mind for me right now. But animation-wise, I was really sad that they killed off Star Wars Resistance. I know it wasn't the most popular show, but the final season was just so good. It's like all the characters were finally firing on all cylinders. Everything had really come together, and it was just, just as it's all kind of starting to gel, is when they announced that they're ending it. And I think if they could have gone one more season, it might have really took off. I'm trying to keep my head out of the shot here as best I can, but I get in here real close with my blind eyes. See this stuff. All right. Yeah, definitely be good with the new season. Yeah, Mandalorian is so good. Oh, are you watching Resistance right now? I really enjoyed it. I mean, the first season is a little. It's not even really slow. It's just, they're all new characters on the first season, so it just kind of takes a little while to get to know everybody and what it's about. But the second season, it's just so good. It's like the second season, it really feels much more deeper part of the Star Wars universe, I think that's what made it work so well. Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see. They're talking about Kevin Feige from the Marvel movies doing some stuff with the Star Wars universe. Interested to see what that ends up being. I mean, I don't know if I feel like some people are like, because he was good at X, he'll be good at Y. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm still interested to see it. And if it's good, then we can all get on board. And if it's not, we'll move on to the next one. I mean, it kind of feels like the promise of Disney Plus right now is that they've got the room and the budget and the time to develop these things. So hopefully we'll see just like a new burst of really cool Star Wars material. Oh, I knew Favreau was involved with Mandalorian, but was Feige also? I didn't know that. I mean, I guess it makes sense that Favreau was involved, but I just wasn't aware. All right, Decidious. I think once I get this shading on the kind of the face area done, that this thing's going to be about done. So if you have any last minute requests, let me know. I just wanted, since she's wearing the white costume, I wanted to keep it really light feeling, Oh, he directed an episode. Wow, okay. I guess I wasn't paying attention. I know I was paying attention to some of the other directors involved. Well, that's cool. I learned something new today. That's when you know it's a good day. Oh, was he an X-Wing pilot? Oh, that's cool. I know a lot of the kind of director-y kind of people, but I guess he's one I don't recognize right off. All right. I think that's about got it. All right, what do you think, Decidious? We got a winner here? I'm pretty happy with that. All right, we will give this one a signature. Go. Ahsoka the White. How cool is that? That was fun. Thank you for asking for that one. All right. One down. right. Well, thanks for hanging out and watching that one, guys. Appreciate it. I think the next one up we're going to do is a Princess Leia. This one's going to be kind of cool. So, is a fan in France asked for this, and he wanted a Leia in her like adventure gear that she wore in some of the comics, and I think in part was it Battlefront 2? There's an option to play her in this gear. So first time I've drawn her in this costume for sure. So it'll be fun for sure. Can't wait to hang it. Well, I'm glad to hear that. The good news is I got some shipping supplies in just today, so it should go out pretty quickly. You don't have to wait as long. I've been running out of mailers and waiting on the post office to bring them to me, so they finally did. So yes, we will do Adventure Leia here. Should be quite fun. It's kind of ironic that I have like really nice stainless steel rulers and straight edges that are cork backed, and I used them all through working in newspapers and magazines, and